Yo, what's up? Welcome to Numbers with Jacari. I'm your host, Jacari, but you already know, call me Ace. And in this episode, we're talking about the number 5's experience in 2024 because it's going to be an interesting one. 5 and 8's relationality is one that's very interesting to me because 5 is ruled by Mercury and Jupiter, which is very intellectually stimulated energy. It's the polarity between not only the student, but also the teacher. And 8 being that authority figure highlights that teacher theme of lessons being learned, and also maybe even relearned. So we're going to talk about that and some other stuff in this episode. So if you're liking what you're hearing, make sure you share it on your socials and tag me at Numbers with Jacari on Instagram or TikTok. And if you have a number 5 dominantly placed, meaning you have a psychic 5 being born on the 5th, the 14th, or the 23rd, or you have a 5 supplementary in that psychic number or any other your numbers, so that could also be the 15th. This can also be the 25th. That's also in there. So anybody who has those numbers in that psychic destiny name number or is in a personal 5 year, I would recommend this episode for you. But I'd also recommend listening to all the other episodes so that you don't miss any themes that might come up into your experience this year. But I also would recommend specifically the number 6 because you have some shared experiences this year based off of your numerology. So we're going to get into it. I don't know if I said this already or not, but if you're liking what you're hearing, share it on your socials and tag me at Numbers with Jacari on Instagram or TikTok. And all the direct links are in the description of this episode, but let's go ahead and get into this. So the number 5 is a number that highlights the mind and comprehension, understanding within and of itself. It's very, very, very powerful in regards to the fact that it can comprehend. It comprehends so well, and also that it rules over the mind in and of itself. So everything that the mind encapsulates is related to this number. So that's thoughts, that's idea, that's creativity, that's communication, everything. So much is also like the controlling of the body. There's so much that comes with the number 5, as well as those themes, and being added to those themes are also adventure, challenges, travel, and some other stuff in there. So I'd recommend checking out my Intro to Numerology guide where I go over each number 0 through 9 for more on the numbers. But getting into 5's experience for this year specifically in 2024, like I said, 8 and 5's interaction is very interesting because there's an emphasis on authority. But there's also an experience around luck and abundance and social spaces for number 5 in this year. I will say 5 and 8 in regards to their dynamic can be one that doesn't feel that comfortable. It feels a little bit icky and a little bit just like, I don't know what this is, but I don't like it, can sort of kind of be the vibe because 8 is so powerful, very structured, very authoritative, like I've said many times, that authority aspect, but also that leadership aspect, people who are above you, those hierarchies, those governments. It can make 5 very much feel very powerless. So this also brings a relationship with revolution for the number 5 this year. Revolution and also evolution. I would heavily recommend looking at or listening to my Universal 8-year episodes to get more of an insight on that and how that plays out in this year specifically, because those are themes that are very broad or very big for the number 5 this year specifically. So I'd recommend checking those things out. But in regards to that revolution, that also brings a level of change because, for things to change, there has to be also a level of destruction in there. And those changes for 5 specifically come up in social and spiritual spaces. So this also can look like building a stronger relationship with the higher powers that you believe in. Also alterations in your friend groups of either gaining more friends, changing the dynamic within your friend groups. So themes around that sort are things that come up. And also the expression and the confidence that you have in those spaces of how much are you showing up like yourself? How much are you really sharing your true feelings and your true wants and your true desires because of the way that you think of like, okay, yes, we're thinking these things, but how do these things make us feel? And also to embody that confidence, there has to be a level of authenticity. I think that the number 8 doesn't get enough credit in regards to its connection to authenticity because the number is ruled by Saturn and Pluto, and Saturn highlights this authenticity in regards to its relationship with boundaries in and of themselves. And for you to have very strong stable, unmoving boundaries that are respected. You have to be authentically you, because you have to have that also deep awareness within yourself. So that's highlighted for the number 5 this year, is that relationship with authenticity and confidence, and also the development of those things. So like I said before, the number 5 is very much highlighting of this access between teacher and student. So we're building those things up this year. We're learning the lessons that we've learned. We're also learning more lessons, but also they don't also always have to be so harsh lessons. It's just taking into account all the information that we've taken in and seeing what we can do with that. Because with 8's relationship with building and growth being on a steady scale of, it likes to take its time to build these blocks up. 5 being more of the comprehension of the blocks and the logical side of those things, and not necessarily so much the movement of it. It's taking what we've gained awareness on and actually putting it into practice of not only developing but building those things up to actually get us to something different, because change is so natural for the number 5. And like I said, change is as a theme this year in regards to specifically social and spiritual spaces. It's building those relationships even more, of taking up more social space. So this can be jumping into content creation, or even more active on social media, or even less active on social media if you already are very big on those platforms, or very active on social media, or pulling back from spirituality, or changing your relationship with spirituality, of going from one spiritual practice to another. Different spiritual practitioners are also things, different spiritual beliefs, because that also brings up belief systems for you this year, because your experience around faith is very highlighted this year, of trusting not only the process, but knowing what you believe in and being able to fully, and I mean fully, trust that. So I would recommend building that relationship with whatever the higher powers are, and also allowing it to change, because things change, people grow, people evolve, and that's something that's very big for you. So allowing yourself to do that is something that I heavily recommend, because there's also a level of chaos in all of this. You might feel, like I said again, there's an icky energy that can come with 5 and 8 together that makes you feel weird and uncertain. So there brings that internal chaos, especially of the mind. So mental stability and instability is very highlighted. So this puts a emphasis on your support systems and also therapy. So doing that shadow work, but also getting different forms of therapy. Therapy doesn't always have to be a sit down talk. It can sometimes be themes around energy work, going to the gym, moving your body, creating something. Therapy doesn't always have to be on just a psychological side, because you do also need that energetic work of moving that energy through your body to allowing yourself that release and that freedom from that stagnant energy that might be there. So that's a very strong theme for you this year, as well as movement and creativity. And I already did say authenticity is in there as well. So allowing yourself to be authentic and create whatever the ideal you might want to create. And if that is something that you really want to put an emphasis and put work into, I would really recommend working with somebody, because 5 has a tendency to be in its head, because it rules over the mind. Thought is very active and it's very consistent. It's steadily moving. The mind is steadily running. There's always something going on there, whether it's conscious or subconscious. There's always some level of active movement that can make 5 feel very overwhelmed and sometimes uncertain in its movement, and also very anxious. So I want you to be able to clearly get through those things. So investing in those therapies, we're investing in those energy works, or different forms of those things to really get you that clearer side to whatever it is you're trying to find for yourself, and to create that space that allows for that newer version and that new and improved, per se, version of you to really show up, especially because development and building is something that is emphasized for you this year. Now, I will say that sensory overwhelm and general overwhelm is very much highlighted for you as well. So allowing yourself to take your breaks as needed. I do know that the number 5 loves to move, it loves to change, it likes to go on adventures, but sometimes you might need a little bit more. You might find yourself needing more breaks or more activity of different sorts this year. You might have felt before that you were like, okay, I want more mental stimulation. Now you might feel that you need more physical stimulation, or vice versa, or even emotional stimulation. Things around those experiences are highlighted, and and becoming overwhelmed in those spaces. You might find a little bit more sensitivity to those things this year, as well as those anxiety and overthinking, and also just second guessing yourself. So what I want you really to work on this year is to take up that space, be confident in who you are and also what you embody, because you are more than just your thoughts. You are also a physical body. You are a human being, and this is your human experience, and you don't necessarily have to escape from humanity and being human to really be who you are. You can figure out how to pull the things that feel like they're bigger than this human form to where you are, and conceptualize them, and also being able to make them actually come in a physical form. I would really recommend you take up that space and really be authentic to who you are and everything that you embody. I would also say that when you are experiencing these anxious moments and this doubt and this uncertainty and this overthinking and second guessing, change your perspective. It's so much easier for the brain to take the negative route, or the oh yeah, it's not going to work out route. But instead of thinking well, what can go wrong, what can go right, oh, what's the worst that can happen, what's the best that can happen, of really changing that perspective so you can think about it differently, to give yourself a different perspective and open a different door to possibilities. Because again, we're building something new this year, and maybe not even necessarily new, but just building something this year. So I want you to be able to create whatever it is and have it come into fruition in the best way possible. But also, like I said again in the beginning, strengthening your relationship in higher powers. This can be something that can be very religious based for you, or just spiritually based for you, and whatever that looks like for you, I want you to go for that, of really taking that time to strengthen that awareness around whatever it is that you believe in, so you can have that comfort within yourself, because your spiritual experience is yours and yours alone. So whatever you feel like resonates for you, stick with that and work with people, and surround yourself with people who also embody that energy, so you have that comfort and you have that security of those spaces. Now, I would like to point out some months for you to note this year. I would point out specifically June, July, and August. The summer months are looking fairly cute for you, but there's also a subtle energy around January, May, and October. But I do want to put more emphasis on June, July, and August. June, because it is going to be Universal 5 month, but again, 5 and 8's relationship is an interesting one. So you might just feel a little bit more of those 8 and 5 themes that month. It might not feel the best, but it's very likely to be very impactful for you. And when I say impactful, I say that word specifically because it's not necessarily going to be automatically good or automatically bad. There's so many different psychic 5s in the world, and you also have so much different personal numerology. You can be a psychic 5 or a destiny 5 that's different. You have like other numbers in your energy, that you have 9s and somebody else has an 8 and somebody else has a 3, and there's so many different things. So this can go either way for you, but I would recommend working with somebody who understands numbers and also understands your numbers to give you more clarity on context of that energy. I do have services if that is something that you're interested in. I would also throw in, like I said before, July and August into the mix. July is cute. I do love her. She is going to be, what is that? That's naturally in the calendar month, the 7th month, but it's going to be universal 6 energy, and 6 has a interesting relationship with 5. They do sit in a pattern of 5, 6, 7, which is very nice. And 6 is more indulgent. 6 is more pleasure filled and sensory stimulated, of it likes to really feel. So I highlight this month for you because I want you to be able to get out of your mind and get more into your body and those feelings of what does this feel for you? What is the sensory experience for you? And that can be highlighted in July for you. But then we got August being a universal 7 month, which is bringing emphasis back to that mind, because 7 loves to understand. It loves mystery, it loves to research, it loves the deep dives. So I really put an emphasis on those things. And like I said, I would recommend listening to the number 6 episode, because you might have some shared experiences that this year. So I do like those months for you, but overall, for number 5, it might feel a little bit uncomfy for this year. But again, this is not going to be the only year that you were to experience per se, but it puts you in a position where you're setting up for next year, which I do like better numerologically for you. But there's nothing wrong with you going for anything that you're trying to go for this year, having a number 5 in your energy, and there's also other numbers that are in your numbers, so this is not the end all be all. So overall, if you want to learn more about your personal numbers, go ahead and book yourself a reading. But share this with somebody who either has a number 5, wants to learn about numbers, or you found this interesting and you just wanted to share. But thank you so much for listening. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at numbers is Jacari, and I will most definitely catch you in the next one. Peace.